Ever notice how those old family photos kind of like fade over time?
Yeah, those old albums.
Well, it turns out our digital memories, they can fade too.
Oh, that's interesting.
And today we're going to do a deep dive into how Meta, Facebook's parent company, is changing how long they keep Facebook Live videos around.
Hmm.
It's more than just a headline though, right?
Yeah.
It gets into data storage and cost cutting by these big companies, and maybe even how we think about live content online in general.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating from a few different angles. I mean, it's not just a Facebook thing either. It kind of reflects this bigger trend we're seeing across the internet.
Yeah,
We all love the idea of like infinite storage space, but
right,
that's not really realistic.
right.
Companies are having to make some tough choices about what data they keep forever, especially with costs going up for things like developing AI.
Yeah.
Meta's, I think, projected to spend, what, like $65 billion this year alone just on AI.
Wow.
So it really makes you think, right? Like, have you ever used Facebook Live yourself?
I have. Yep.
And if so, do you have any of those old broadcasts that you'd actually want to keep around, like, forever?
It's a good question. And it does kind of make you wonder if these changes Meta's making, if it's to like free up resources for these big AI investments, are they like sacrificing user data in a way to fund the future?
Yeah.
But okay, first things first. What is Meta actually changing?
Yeah.
Our both our sources for this deep dive agree that new live streams, they're only going to be available for 30 days after they go live,
Okay.
which older broadcasts, those are being deleted too, but it sounds like it's more of a gradual process.
Interesting.
The thing that really caught my attention, though, was that this whole deletion process, it didn't just start like yesterday.
Oh.
It actually started February 19th of this year, 2025.
Wow.
So it's already happening.
So it's already underway.
But the way that Meta is like putting this out there, it's very much like, hey, these are your options. It's not like they're just dictating what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they're trying to spin it positively.
Right. And I mean, from their perspective, from a business perspective, you can kind of see the logic, right? Like most of the views for any live stream happen in those first few weeks.
Makes sense.
So storing all those videos forever when most people aren't watching them,
Right.
it becomes a cost-benefit analysis.
Yeah, yeah.
You're paying to maintain all that server space for content that's basically dormant. It's a trend we see across the tech industry, really.
So, okay, if they're going to start deleting stuff, what options do we have?
Yeah.
Well, Meta has laid out a few. You can download individual videos, or you can do like a bulk download,
Okay.
get a bunch of them at once. And their blog post about this actually goes into the specific steps.
Oh, that's helpful.
It's like, go to your activity log, pick the date range you want, and boom, there your archive.
Oh, nice.
They also talk about being able to transfer your live streams to some kind of cloud storage provider.
Okay.
Like, the big names, Dropbox, Google Drive, that kind of thing.
Right.
Or
right.
you can convert the live streams into Reels.
Ah, interesting.
Which that basically keeps the content on Facebook,
Right.
but it turns it into like a shorter, more, easily digestible format.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I think things get kind of interesting.
How so?
Well, are those options really equal? Like downloading, that's great if you want to archive something.
Sure.
But turning a live stream into a reel, that's changing the nature of it. It's not the same thing anymore.
It becomes a clip almost.
Exactly. It's like a little snippet meant for a totally different experience.
Totally.
So it makes you think about like how you actually use Facebook Lives. Is a quick clip enough?
Right.
Or is the full context of that original broadcast important?
That's a great point.
And okay, so Meta does say they'll notify users before they delete anything,
Okay, good.
which that's good.
Yeah.
But there's something I noticed that's a little concerning.
What's that?
So our pasted text source, that one says users have 90 days after they get that notification to download their stuff.
Okay.
But Meta's own blog post that says you have 90 days to either download, transfer, or convert after the notification.
Huh.
That feels like a pretty big difference.
Yeah, that does seem significant.
What do you make of that?
Well, you're right to point that out. That's definitely a discrepancy.
Yeah.
It really shows how important it is to look at multiple sources and not just take one at face value.
Mm-hmm.
And, it also kind of demonstrates why doing this deep dive is so helpful for our listeners.
Right.
You're now armed with more detailed info than someone who just skimmed the headlines.
Totally.
But it does make you wonder, why is there this difference between the sources?
Yeah.
Is this something Meta will clarify?
Right.
Could it be a simple oversight? Or is there something more going on?
It is. It's a little unnerving to think about, right?
Yeah.
Like all these inconsistencies and how easy it is for like our digital lives to be affected by decisions these companies make.
Yeah.
It's like we're all building these elaborate digital scrapbooks, but then the platform can just like change the page size and suddenly some of our memories are falling out.
That's a good analogy.
And for some people, I mean, these Facebook Live videos, they're more than just, casual content.
Right.
It could be the only recording of a birthday party or a graduation or even like a protest.
That's a really important point. Yeah, it's not just, funny cat videos or whatever. This is about how we document our lives now, our
Oh.
history in this digital age.
Yeah.
And this whole situation with Meta, I think it raises this even bigger question.
Which is,
Well, if companies are starting to put limits on what they'll store for us,
yeah.
do we need to start taking digital archiving into our own hands?
Whoa.
You know, should we be more proactive about downloading, saving the stuff that really matters to us, rather than just assuming these platforms will do it for us forever?
That's a big question. And it's not just about like figuring out how to download videos. It's about deciding what's even worth saving in the first place.
Exactly.
Like, do we need to be more mindful about what we even create and share online, knowing that it might not be there forever?
It almost requires a mental shift, right?
Yeah.
In how we think about making digital content, sharing it, instead of assuming it's all going to be accessible forever.
Right.
Maybe we need to be more intentional about what we're choosing to document, what we want to preserve. It's like, deciding which photos you're going to frame and put on the wall
Right.
versus the ones that stay in a shoebox.
That's a good way to put it. And to be fair to Meta, they are giving users these options, even if they're not perfect.
Right.
They're trying to balance their own costs with what users need.
It's a good opportunity, I think, for all of us to take a look at what we've got out there.
Yeah.
Do some digital spring cleaning.
Ooh, I like that.
Go through those old live streams, decide what's truly precious, and then use the tools Meta's giving us to actually preserve them. It's a chance to be more thoughtful about our digital footprint, what we want to leave behind,
I like that. So to recap what we've got so far,
Yeah.
Meta is changing how it stores Facebook Live videos, new ones only around for 30 days, older ones slowly being deleted, and there are steps users can take to download, transfer, or convert their content.
Right. But I think the even bigger takeaway here
Yeah.
is that this whole situation, it's kind of prompting us to think about our own relationship with digital stuff. Do we just passively accept whatever terms these platforms set for us?
Right.
Or do we take a more active role in curating and preserving what's truly meaningful?
Ooh, another good point. It's a lot to think about, that's for sure. And it's definitely a conversation that goes way beyond just this one change from Meta.
Oh, absolutely.
But at least for now, you, our listeners, you've got the info you need to navigate these changes
Right.
and make some choices about your own Facebook Live archives.
Exactly. But, it also makes me wonder,
What's that?
is this just the beginning? Will other platforms start doing this too?
Oh, good question.
Are we heading towards a future where everything online has an expiration date?
Ooh, scary thought. It's definitely something to consider. I mean, the economics of data storage, that's a real thing.
Yep.
The more stuff we create, the harder it gets to keep it all around forever. And it does seem like eventually users are going to have to take on more the responsibility for saving what matters to them. Which, it's kind of empowering in a way, right? Like we become the curators of our own digital lives.
Yeah.
But it also feels like it needs a certain level of, I don't know, awareness
Right.
and technical skills that not everyone has.
That's a really good point, yeah. It does raise this possibility of like a digital divide,
Oh, interesting.
where people who've got the resources and the know-how, they can preserve their online history. But others, they might see their digital memories just fade away.
So what can we do about that? I mean, is this a matter of education? Do we need like better tools to make this easier?
Potentially.
Or is it like a fundamental shift in how we even value digital content?
I think it's probably a combination of all those things, to be honest.
Yeah.
We need to make digital archiving easier, more user-friendly, for sure.
Right.
People need to be aware of why it's important to safeguard their own data.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe most importantly, we just need to have a bigger conversation as a society
Mm.
about what it even means to live in this increasingly digital world
Right.
and what the long-term implications are.
That's a conversation worth having, and probably one that we'll revisit on this show as things change.
For sure.
But for now, let's leave you, our listeners, with a final thought to ponder.
Okay, I like it.
If everything we create online is, potentially fleeting, how does that change how we relate to these platforms? Does it make us more mindful, more selective in what we share?
Yeah.
Or does it just, I don't know, highlight how temporary this digital world really is?
It's such a fascinating question, and one that I think each of us has to answer for ourselves, really.
Yeah,
But one thing's for sure, the way we think about digital content, it is changing.
it is.
And this announcement from Meta, it's just one little ripple in a much bigger wave.
Well, that is a great note to end on. So, to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Meta's Facebook Live archiving changes. As always, stay curious, stay informed, and remember, those digital memories, they might not last forever. Until next time.